Good afternoon. At this time, I'd like to call to order the Muskegon County Board of Commissioners Transportation Committee. It is October 14th. It is 3:28 p.m. Thank you. And next, would need a roll call vote.
Commissioner Sear,
Here.
Commissioner Hovey-Wright,
Here.
Commissioner Hughes,
Here.
Commissioner Laring,
Here.
Commissioner Nash,
Here.
Commissioner Pago,
Here.
Chair Skolnick,
Here.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Here.
Commissioner Brown,
Here.
9 present.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda, I would need a motion to approve the minutes of September 16th, 2021.
have a
Motion
question.
for it. And we have a question.
Yes.
Commissioner.
And I'm trying to find my minutes, but when I read them, there was no, you did not pass TR 21/09-30, or at least it doesn't say we did. It's just that we did not table it. But according to the minutes, there was no vote, which means we shouldn't have voted on it at the full board, unless I am reading it wrong. All right, right here. So it was moved and seconded to table it, and that did not pass. Oh, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it was tabled until the next full board. I'm sorry.
And then we changed
Okay.
it from fairgrounds, we changed it, took the airport off and just passed the fairgrounds.
Okay, so we tabled it to the next vote. We didn't take a vote then.
Okay,
Commissioner Brown, can I interrupt you, please? I had Commissioner Nash moved for the motion, and I didn't get a second before
for the
Commissioner Hovey-Wright starts.
second for approval of the minutes. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes,
I need a second.
I can second.
Second,
Thank you.
Susie, Commissioner Hughes. Thank you. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? All right, informational items. We have 2 informational items in your packet. Transportation operations, September 21, and airport operations report. So we will note to file those at this time. Is that correct? Yes.
Wait, I have a question.
Okay.
Mr. Coons. So I'm glad to see that the numbers for the go-to are doing very well. But I was concerned about the fixed route, the decrease of 43% and 44% for line haul and fixed route. Can you ease my mind about that?
Sure, well, I can try. Jim Coons, Muskegon Area Transit System, 24 6th Street. So as you look at this September 21 report, you have to remember it's being compared to year-to-date September 2020. In 2020, January, February, and March were full bore service, no impact of COVID, et cetera. And so right out of the gate at the beginning of this calendar year 20, we were having fairly routine numbers. So as you look at year-to-date 21 versus 20, there's going to be a significant decrease because January, February, March was 2 completely different worlds. Okay. If you look at
So 2021 had more months of COVID?
right in 2021, the entire 9 months is COVID under COVID protocols, plus underneath our realigned service design.
Right.
Okay, so not only is it seeing the impact of COVID, but it's seeing an impact of roughly 50% reduction in fixed route service. Whereas 2020 had 3 months of almost full service and then 6 months of COVID-related service. So,
Okay. I get it.
so on an overall basis, that would account for your largest change.
Thank you.
So you're not concerned?
Well, not with those particular 2 data points, because I know that they reflect 2 entirely different levels of service.
Right. Okay.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? If not, you can go through this at your leisure and read this. Public comment on an agenda item. If we have any public comments on an agenda item at this time. Commissioner Pago, do you see?
I don't see anyone.
Okay. Thank you for your help. Any other? If not, we will move on to items for consideration. TR 21/10-31 to authorize the award of RFP 21-24-25 for a 5-year period of Holstead Intelligent Transportation System, ITS service and support for the Muskegon Area Transit System to highest rated vendor, and I don't know how to say this, for the amount of $590,508.70 contingent on corporate council review of the contract terms. So move. Motion of review and support from Mr. Wilkins. Any questions, comments, or concerns at this time? Yes,
have some
Mr.
questions.
Hughes.
First of all, I'd like to ask if that is within your budget. That seems like an awful lot of money
It's 5 years.
for 5 years. I mean, when we don't even know if the NASA's gonna make it 5 years.
So this is, this contract is for a 5-year period. We are making sure to include in the RFP, we included it, and we'll include it in the contract terms, the ability to transfer the agreement to another entity
Okay,
at such time as any change should occur. In terms of the funding, there are really two pieces to how we will pay for this, and it's in the bottom paragraph of the description. The year one cost is $395,150,
Mhm.
and that is already, that will be capitalized. We already have a capital grant in place to pay that entire amount. The 195, which is the year 2, 3, 4, and 5 costs, or approximately $48,000 a year, will be worked into our Matt's annual budget as an operating expense to maintain and license and operate the system.
so can you explain to me what it is this does too?
Sure. So what this will do is it will add equipment to the vehicles, add software, add hardware, et cetera, that will do a number of things. Number one, we will be able to collect accurate, detailed GPS location information for every boarding that occurs on the buses. So we will know where passengers board, where passengers deboard. We will have the ability to track when bicycles are put on the rack, when wheelchairs are loaded, when drivers get on and off the buses so that we don't accidentally count them as boarding passengers. So it allows us to do all of that data tracking that we've lacked for several years, and which has caused us, frankly, a number of problems in trying to report to our local partners who's using the bus in that area. The equipment will, and we'll do that not only at a level that allows us to report to you and to the local units, but is designed to be able to be reportable to our federal partners when we report in. It will provide customers with the ability to see that tracking information as well. So they'll be able to use a website or an app to know when the next bus is coming to their location, or to put in their travel plan and say, I want to travel from my home to Meyer, which route do I take? What time does it come? So it gives us all.
We don't already have something that does that?
We don't. It allows them to stand at a bus stop and enter an SMS code or a QR code off the bus stop and know when the next bus is coming. The system will make the automated voice announcements that the buses that were required by the Americans with Disabilities Act to make. So if a blind individual or some other person is on board, they are audibly told which bus stop is coming up so that they can navigate the system.
Will there be cameras on the buses too for somebody that's deaf?
So the next piece, or one of the next pieces here, is that it would enhance onboard customer information. So we would have a screen on the bus that would also identify the upcoming stops and announce those as they come. We can put advertising on those to generate revenue. And then it will provide Wi-Fi for customers, and finally allow us remotely to monitor system operations. So we'll know when a bus is running behind or off route, or if there are different things that we can begin tracking to improve our on-time performance.
Did you figure how many people will ride a 5-year program and said, okay, X amount of people are going to ride the bus. How much does this cost us per person?
Well, no, we didn't really calculate it in that fashion. I mean, we could take our annual ridership and divide this into each person, because every person that uses the system is going to be benefited.
Yeah,
from
that's,
it.
and I wondered, I mean, is it still gonna cost us money? Are we gonna lose money by putting this in?
Well, again, the year one cost, which is,
I'm saying if you amortize it over 5 years.
Yeah.
Are we gonna lose money, or is it gonna cost us more? We can't afford to lose a whole lot more.
well, nobody's going to board the bus and specifically put an extra dollar in to support
Right,
this
I
project.
understand. That's
So,
what I know that. That's
right.
why I wondered if we're gonna.
ask.
Hey,
So, yeah, from a grants perspective, we're trying to capitalize as much of this as we can so that the remaining operating cost is achievable through our regular revenue sources.
Commissioner Hobie Wright had a question.
Yeah, would you hazard a guess as to what percentage of the riders have cell phones or smartphones?
I really can't, I mean, there are a lot more people that have smartphones or cell phones than
Then you would think. Yeah, that's like
that's
the
usually
first
one of the
thing.
things they don't part with
Right.
or get as soon as they can. But again, it wouldn't be smartphone dependent. In other words, you can use a website at your house before you go out. You can go to our Herman Ivory terminal and see the screens displaying when buses are coming. You can get the trip information in other fashions as well.
Commissioner Nash had a question.
Yeah, I see this as being a win because this is probably a decade overdue. We haven't been able to collect the accurate data that we needed to make plans and make good estimates, and that's why we had such a battle last time. But the biggest difference is going to make these buses more user-friendly, which has been a big complaint on the last decade that I've been on board, that people complain about not knowing how to use the buses and not being able to learn how to use buses. But this will make it so much more easier for people to be able to do that. And you'd be surprised too, some of our seniors are getting to be more tech savvy and they're beginning to use a lot more of those things. And this could really enhance not only them using it, but then they will share that with other seniors, and then you'll have more seniors and they even want to use this bus even more. And if you notice, some of this housing that we're getting down here is becoming more senior friendly too. So it may be more attractive to the buses for them to be able to get around for different things.
Commissioner Sear, you had a question.
Question on the proposal went out to 4 different people. This was the one that we chose, I understand, is the highest cost. Can you address that?
Sure. So actually, the proposal went out to 319 vendors through the county's BidNet program. And then we reached out to some of those. We tried to, advise them that this opportunity is out. We received 4 proposals back in and evaluated those. Of the 4, and I don't want to speak in detail to the evaluation team, but 2 of the vendors rose to the level of an interview process, and we interviewed both of them. Those would be the 2 higher ones that are scored here. And then from the interview process and on top of the proposals that they submitted in writing, the evaluation team felt strongly that Connections was the highest rated vendor and was providing us what we had asked for most closely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
If I can go back to Commissioner Nash's point, just very briefly, even somebody who doesn't have the app, this will generate operational benefits over time. So us knowing which route is perpetually running behind schedule, or perhaps which bus stop is seeing a lot of activity, so we put in an investment in that stop, it allows us to make some operational improvements with data to support those.
Also, you won't have to do another route study. You'll have it all, you'll have most of it there.
We'll have the
That
data.
could save.
Well, I think some of the questions that have come up from this commission, I think, Mr. Coons, you'd have better accurate information to provide this commission with the system. So that's part of it. So thank you. If no other questions, I'd ask roll call votes. So
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pago. No. Chair Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Sear,
Yes.
Commissioner Hobie Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
yes, thank you.
8 yes, 1 no.
Thank you very much. That moves forward. TR 21/10-32 to authorize Muskegon Area Transit System to publish the public notice regarding the Federal Transit Administration ARPA operating assistant application and to authorize staff to execute the electronic grant application.
So
Support.
Pass.
Move and support. Any questions, comments, or concern regarding this item? Seeing none, we roll call on this one? Not
It's up to
really.
you.
So all in favor?
Aye.
No.
Have one opposed? Okay. Did we capture that? Next item for consideration, TR 21/10-33 to approve the list of projects submitted by Match to the West Michigan Shoreline Regional Development Commission for consideration and development of the fiscal year 2024 through fiscal year 2026 congestion migration air quality program of projects.
So moved.
And we have, Kathy, did you get that? Motion by Mr. Nash and Commissioner Wilkins. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Okay, yes, Mr. Coombs, I noticed transit outreach and marketing is a substantial amount. What exactly would be used? I mean, how would they do outreach and marketing?
So this is a request to go to the table with that amount. We will see how we come away from the negotiating table and see where we end up. We use the marketing money to fund a part-time marketing specialist within our operation and to support any other staff that are working on marketing efforts. We also do placement of advertising for the transit program and production of any published materials, maps, brochures. It is, there are some other things we can charge against the marketing grant. And so if there's a expenditure being made that can be tied to our marketing efforts, then we will charge it against this 100% funded
Like the
grant. where we-
go-to billboards would be an
Yeah,
example?
yeah.
Okay.
Commissioner Hughes, you had a
I
question?
have a couple questions to follow up on Marcia's information on marketing. Do you have an idea how successful your marketing is? I mean, you put up billboards and things like that. Can you give me what percentage you increased or decreased because of it?
I have a difficult time giving you those numbers. My marketing person might have some of that. I would have to check with her on what she's got in terms of, for example, website clicks and some of those. I don't have them offhand.
We're going to replace those benches in front of the bus stops with.
And I do have another question on that too, and I don't know if this is actually the time to ask it, but I noticed you put in a new bus stop on Apple Avenue without asking us. Do you normally put in bus stops without asking?
Every quarter line in Apple.
Yep.
That's a temporary bus stop because of the construction on Quarter Line. So that will be removed from Quarter Line.
Because you just opened it and this construction's been going since January.
No, we've had to stop there at Walgreens for a while since they closed up the road.
Because the sign's been down, we just put the sign up 2 weeks ago. It said bus stop. There was no sign there for a long time, because I told my guys, if you want to remove that bench, you can, because there hasn't been a sign there in years.
Yeah,
And the
no,
old sign is a
that
sign.
particular corner in front of Walgreens at Apple and Quarter Line is not on our current route. But because of the detour and the construction, we are serving that temporarily.
Okay, because we did say we were gonna go one way, but they were gonna pick up on one side of the street or the other, and there is one right across the street.
Yeah, there's one by the CVS and then there's one on Quarter Line by the Township Hall.
And I also wanted to ask, this is for the congestion mitigation air quality program, but you still have the heavy duty buses in there that you want to carry over until the 2026.
Yeah, so the congestion mitigation air quality program is a category of funding that Muskegon County is able to access because of our air quality problems
Mhm.
that we've argued over years. The purchase of replacement buses is an eligible activity in that program. Number one, because it supports public transportation, which is an eligible thing. Number two, because the newer engine technologies are always cleaner than the older engine technologies. And so they compare the vehicles that way.
Okay, because these are already on, these have already gone through the Transportation Policy Board. You're just asking us to keep them on there, correct?
No, so actually, the ones that are currently in the middle of your board support here, the fiscal year 23 is already in the program, and yes, we're asking to
Okay,
leave that,
that's what.
but we're
you're
asking to
doing.
add the other 3 years.
Okay, well, I see what you're saying down here.
Okay, Commissioner,
Got it.
you're good?
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you. Yes, Commissioner Lyon.
My question, so a lot of this is some long-range planning, 2026, is we're discussing creating a transit authority versus Muskegon area transit. How do these, if we're making contracts with the federal government for funding buses, I just want to make sure that this isn't going to hinder the process of it possibly becoming an authority.
So all of these items, fiscal 23, 24, 25, and 26, nowhere in here are we engaging a contract. What we're doing is we're engaging the regional commission's public planning process to get these onto the list of locally approved future federal projects. If they should change, if we should change, we can go back through the regional commission process, have the projects reallocated to another agency, or removed completely and replaced with some other local city project.
Yes, Commissioner, I'm sorry,
Yeah, let me answer.
yeah,
And I would like to follow up on that with Jim and Commissioner Leary. With the Transportation Policy Board, it is Muskegon and Northern Ottawa County. So it is both of us together. So that would, if we did merge those two, we would still be involved with Muskegon and Northern Ottawa County through the Transportation Policy Board. So that's exactly how it would have to go.
thank you. Yes,
Well, I was just gonna say too, in continuing to keep our buses more up to date, it will probably make it more viable as we try to move in that direction to be able to convince others to be able to take on this task of an authority. You wouldn't want to send them with a bunch of old buses either, so I think it helps keep us moving forward.
if there's no other questions, I get all in favor of item for consideration 33, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Next item for consideration, TR 21/10-34 to approve MDOT Master Agreement 2022-0110 and the signature resolution authorizing the county administrator to execute the master agreement and associated project authorizations under the agreement.
So moved.
Support.
About that. Any questions, comments, or concerns regarding this item? Saying none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Thank you. Next item for consideration, TR 21/10-35 to authorize Muskegon Area Transit System to publish the public notice regarding the Federal Transit Administration fiscal year 2022 CMAQ application and to authorize staff to execute the electronic grant application.
So moved.
Support.
Motion and support by Mr. Hughes. Any questions, comments, and concerns regarding this? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay. Next item, TR 21/10-36 to approve staff issuing a request for qualifications RFQ and conducting a qualification-based selection process to hire a consultant to perform airport engineering services for fiscal year 2022 through 2024 with 2 additional 1-year extensions. So moved. With the motion support. Well, do we need
Support.
Okay, thank you. Kathy got that. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Commissioner Loring, you had questions?
So my question, didn't we just met with them yesterday, didn't we already hire an engineering firm for this?
That was for the roof. This is for our future projects on the airport capital improvement plan. The FAA requires us to have a qualified engineering, architecture, and planning firm to advance those projects. Those projects are developed in consultation with the airport staff and management, with MDOT and with the FAA.
Mainly on the runways.
Yes, on
Most of their work. is
airfield
runways.
work. Airfield.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Lee Wright, you had a question?
No, I don't. I noticed there was no dollar figure, but you're just issuing an RFQ.
It's just an.
Correct.
Yeah.
I do have a
Commissioner
question.
Hughes?
I guess this is to Mark. The company that we have running the airport, they have no responsibility in this at all.
No.
No.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Oh, I'm sorry.
So we do have an engineering firm currently that's under contract to do this.
For the projects that are underway, yes.
Okay.
The taxiway A realignment and construction is being handled by CNS Engineering, and also the beacon replacement, if you will recall that one,
Mhm.
and striping on the airfield.
And-
The FAA allowed us to continue on with CNS because that's a multi-year project.
Okay, and so what we're looking for potentially hiring a different one. I mean, a
Correct.
lot of times the directors come to us with an extension, but you're not doing that for the current provider.
Right, because we're at the 5-year mark.
Okay,
Are you happy with them?
CNS, yes.
thank you. Good question. So thank you, Commissioner. So there's an RFQ to pursue. All in favor of this item? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Thank you. I want to thank our directors and Mr. Lukens and Mr. Coons for answering those questions today. Thank you. Any, next on the agenda is unfinished business.
I do have.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. My township supervisor mentioned to me the other day that in the, I don't know what you call it, in the financial report or the year summary for the transit system, it has Muskegon Township as one of the contracts there, and they did not sign a contract. And they just don't want us to spend that money that they're not paying us.
Correct, they're not in the contract.
Okay.
We'll look at that.
I just wanted to make sure, because my township supervisor thought that that income, that money was still in there. And I didn't know where to look for it, but I just, since you brought it up to me, I thought it was just pass it along.
But, yeah,
sure
we know they
that-
didn't sign the contract. We're looking.
Okay,
That
just make sure that's not in his budget to spend. Okay. Thank you.
So, okay. Any other unfinished business with Mark, the corporate counsel legal opinion? Is that
Yes, that's the one dated September 13, 2021. Authority over the road commission managing director is a report that corporate counsel put together and gave to every commissioner. It brought up, see if there's any questions.
Did everybody receive that? No.
It was emailed to
Yeah,
us
Here's another copy.
Yeah.
No, this is email.
a month ago.
Yeah.
So we're gonna make any recommendations.
It's just up for discussion. If there's any
Up for
questions.
discussion if anybody.
But it was fairly clear.
Commissioner Seer, please.
Okay, so we don't have really any authority over the commissioner himself, but the board, how do we relate to the board? Can you just explain that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, certainly. So first, I assume the board is comfortable with me discussing the legal opinion in this session. I just wanted to make sure of that. So you do have some authority to remove commissioners, but not simply due to disagreeing with them. It would have to be for some kind of cause like malfeasance in
Oh,
office.
okay, I got you.
And they are elected for quite a few years at a time, like 5 or 7 years, I believe.
Appointed.
Appointed.
Yes.
They're elected for a long time.
How do you,
Right.
what is the process of investigating or pursuing cause of malfeasance?
Yeah. that's-
I have so many constituents from several townships, even outside of my district, that are very upset and frustrated. It's an ongoing issue. It's been ongoing for years.
With respect to, you mean the members, not the employees, correct? You're talking about removal of the appointed members.
Correct.
Correct. So there have to be, I'm gonna pull up the statutory language because I don't think I quoted it in the opinion. You have to have effectively charges. That doesn't mean criminal charges, but determining what that conduct is. So
From who? From the county board or from a constituent?
So if I can read.
Oh,
this
sure,
and
go
I'll
ahead.
answer.
Thank you.
Sure. A county road commissioner appointed under this subsection must not be removed from office before the expiration of his or her term of office without being given written notice of the charges made against him or her and an opportunity to appear before the county board of commissioners for a hearing on the charges. So it would be this county board of commissioners that would issue the charges and schedule a public hearing, provide due process. So that would be notice and an opportunity to be heard on those specific charges.
What section are you reading from?
Certainly, this is MCL 224.6,
Thank you.
and that is subsection 4 of section 6.
Thank you.
Thank you. So you're not really making any recommendations, just
I am
at
not.
this point. It's basically a informational services and stuff like that. So,
Correct. This legal opinion doesn't provide any recommendation of steps. It just states what the law is.
okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Mark, do you have any?
No,
comments?
I just want the opportunity to discuss it, see if there's any other questions that the board might have to follow up on.
I just have a comment.
Yes.
All at once.
Yeah. yes.
That my comment, I think what needs to happen is that the citizens need to approve of millage to pay for roads like everybody else does,
Mr.
for their
Sullivan?
portion of the roads.
Mr. Sullivan?
I think we all got a copy of the actually polite letter from Supervisor Jay.
Yeah.
And he thought he could do it at less expense by hiring their own contractors and then that they would pay for it.
Mhm.
So does that violate state law? I mean, probably know, but could you find out?
Well, I would say I'm not giving legal advice to the township, but generally, I think if the township wanted to do that, it would need the road commission's consent because of the road commission's jurisdiction over the roadways.
Thank you.
I will make a
Oh,
comment.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah, and I know that most of the municipalities, when they have a situation like that, they pass a road millage. And that's what Muskegon Township did.
Mhm.
And I would recommend that for Holton Township.
Holton has no revenue. We don't have any businesses. So that's just not gonna happen. It hasn't ever happened. It's not going to happen. We have
Have they even
1,500
tried?
people.
Multiple times.
They've not tried to pass a millage for their roads.
I only moved
You
back
said
5
that.
years ago, so
Okay,
I
but
don't
if
know.
I'm saying if everybody's all upset about the roads, I mean, it's not gonna cost that much.
Millage
millage.
isn't
On
just
on
business.
Muskegon, it costs us like $7.30 a year on our taxes. So, I mean, but it's a big deal.
I've recommended that to the township, our township board in the last few years, but
And they
I
didn't want
I
it.
don't, I mean, I don't work for the township board. so-
Right.
Well,
And
Mr. Chair.
yes, Commissioner Seer, please. Oh, sorry.
the thing that I recommended to some of my constituents, because I have the same issue in a different county, or different township, so the thing that was recommended was that they've been communicating with with Mr. Holka, and I recommended that they go before the board and at least let the board know what their issues are, and that may change things a little bit, so. I think that's a
recommend
good
the
way
same,
moving forward.
so it just seems to be,
Mark, if I could- oh. Commissioner
No,
Sullivan.
I just wanted to say, at least in my city, they passed the 1.5 mil millage in 2008. The board, the city council decided not to spend the money all at once and bond it. So they spend that million, it's about $1.2 million every year. And I honestly think that Norton Shores has the best roads in the county. They're even paving side roads. I mean, they pave like my street, which gets little.
Right.
Yes,
So it was 1.5 mils.
So do you hire then outside contractors to do that, or is that
Yes.
something you go through the road commission?
We don't use the road commission. for
Okay.
anything.
Okay,
Cities and
Cities
townships
don't.
are different.
okay.
So, does that? I know that's not the answer you're looking for. but he's-
no, I just, it's been an ongoing thing
Issue.
for a lot of years, and I've had people, like I said, outside, the District of 7 and also contact us. They're greatly frustrated with the road commission and their roads that they live on. And I have recommended, to the people that live on their road and to the townships to do a millage, like you say, but I can't control what the township boards do, so.
Commissioner Hughes, you had a
I
question?
will say, Melinda, I've sat on the road commission for lots of years. I think that the road commissioners will oftentimes pay a lot of attention to a group that goes in nicely and talks to them.
Correct.
I've
yeah.
seen them on many occasions, have a little chat with Kenny and say, get in there and get this straightened out.
With pictures.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I
Yes.
have a correction. They said we have not reviewed the road commission. They do hire the road commission occasionally to chip seal roads. I haven't seen them chip seal anything in Wilmington.
They've chipped seal some roads in Holton Township. I know in the last 5 years since I've lived there, probably chip sealed, even on, dead end roads like I live on, it doesn't last very long. I don't know. It doesn't seem to be a real good long-term solution. The problem is a lot of letters that I'm receiving and phone calls are, seem to be personal favoritisms with the road commission, which is not a professional attitude. It seems to be they feel that, this personal favoritism of where the money that the county road commission is deciding which roads to do in the county is personal and not from a professional aspect of the actual condition of the roads.
I appreciate the due diligence, Mark, and our legal, to get some clarification, at least some guidance where we stand with that.
Yeah, back when I was visiting all the townships, et cetera, as a state rep, one thing I found is that where the community put in a certain amount of the cost, they got the other part from the state. And so that's, I think, probably what's playing a role there is that they haven't,
There's a shortage of funding.
they don't have the funds to put it in until they get a millage.
These small townships
Yeah.
with, 2,000 people, then there's
Yeah,
just not
tax base.
there's no fund, there's no income to do it.
Thank you. Good discussion. If there's no other unfinished business,
Well,
is there?
I do have an update on and maybe Jim or Bob has to chime in on this. Aaron Kuhn informed me that interviews continue to go on with the bus authority, mass authority, regional
Thank you.
authority. And then they'll have some stakeholder virtual meetings late October, early November. And she's telling me that the proposed plan will be out in December.
This is to become an authority.
Correct.
To become authority. Yeah, thank you for the follow-up. Appreciate that.
Are those meetings accessible for us to?
Yes, they will. be.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, if you could let us know where those are for.
I don't know the dates yet, Bob, you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, looks like Jim wants-
Yes.
Commissioner, or Mr. Cruz.
I had a brief update on Tuesday. They were looking at October 26th perhaps for some of those more open meetings that you might attend, but they've not announced it. So
When
they'll
they
probably
do-
have 2 sessions, so they have an opportunity to choose one or the other.
We'll give them to you when they come out.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
the
Thank you.
updates, and
Appreciate it.
that's good information, though. Thank you. If there's no other unfinished business, if there's any other new business that would come to this committee. Yes, Commissioner Lund.
Sorry to dump this in your lap.
No.
No, you're not.
No, you're-
I just don't have another good committee to bring this up in.
Yes, sir.
And to try to bring it up in committee. I would like to move that the administration pursue the course of combining the county clerk's office and the register of deeds office into a single office.
Second.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a research if it was possible.
And
So the motion.
No, this is premature.
No, we got the
No, it's
information
not.
back. So that's what most of them do.
Yeah, we sent
Oh,
that
I didn't
out
see
when I was gone, Kathy. I think it went out last week or so.
Yeah.
Mike Homier updated it.
Mhm.
It was sent out, I think it's been out 2 weeks or a week.
Okay. I have a comment on that if I could.
Yes,
And I did check with MAC and they said the majority of the county, the commissions, the counties do have their register of deeds and their clerk together. So,
so this would be to combine
You
the,
combine the two offices under the county clerk is what,
under the county clerk.
that's what most counties do.
yeah.
Right, and I think we had that discussion, but anyways.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to postpone so we can hear from, postpone to a certain date. What would it be? And
Okay, legal
the next-
counsel, we did have a motion on the floor from Commissioner Warren, didn't we? And second.
it was seconded,
Yeah.
but this is before the vote.
I know.
And your motion is to postpone consideration to a specific date.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what that date would be, but I think we need to hear from the clerk and the,
So that motion would require support.
the
and-
two staff.
What is your
involved.
specific date?
What should it be, Mark? I don't know. To the
Depends on
next-
how far you want to extend.
2022.
So if you read the corporate council response, it has to be before the election.
Before the November 3rd election.
No,
Before their elected office.
Before the election
yeah,
time.
we
to
couldn't do it
sign up.
until their term was up anyway.
Right,
It would
right.
be
It
for the
would be
next-
till the terms are up.
Which is not next year.
Yes, it is. No, it's.
They're 4-year
It's
terms.
4-year terms.
Yeah, no, this is, no, this is just to get
And
the
that gives
ball
them a lot
rolling.
of time
Would it
to
make,
reorganize.
should it be the next full board or the next meeting of the
Well, it depends on what you do on this
community
motion, correct?
development?
This will send it
This
to the full
motion will
board.
go to the next full board.
So she doesn't have a second, so.
Is there a
So the
second?
motion, so the first, would it be motion Commissioner Lawrence or?
There's already been a motion
Motion
and a
and a
support on
support.
the motion, on the substantive motion, and then there's been a motion to postpone it to. I'm not sure I heard the rest of the motion.
Well, I didn't,
Until-
I wasn't sure whether it should go to full board or the next committee.
Okay, so I think you just need to, because you're the one making the motion, select when you would want to postpone it to, and then we can see if there's a
To
second.
the next committee of community development and strategic planning.
I think we're
November
doing
16th.
transportation. you mean trans-
Are we in transportation?
November
Kind
16th.
of not transportation, but I think we need to hear from the staff that's involved.
So there's a motion to postpone consideration of the motion, of Mr. Larian's motion, to the next meeting of the transportation committee. Is there a second on that
I'll
motion?
support it.
Yeah.
Okay, and it is that is a debatable, discussable motion.
She needs
Yes,
2/3 for that.
She only needs a majority
Just a
for that
majority.
because it's too specifically.
Okay, Commissioner Hughes, yeah, so we have discussion at this time, Commissioner.
I'm not sure that transportation is the right one. to
No,
bring
it
up
really
to.
isn't. This
I
is.
think it should be
ridiculous.
something different. So I think you should pick something different besides transportation.
Well, that's why I questioned.
Community
Mark, what would be
development.
more
strategic
relevant?
planning.
This should not come up here.
Mr. Chair, it really doesn't make it, we meet as a committee of the whole, right?
Yeah.
Right,
so
that's
everybody's
So
already-
It really doesn't make any difference.
That's true.
I guess that's true.
Okay, so the next transportation committee.
And if I may, this may be a great idea. I don't know, but I. think
Right, but we need to hear.
We need to hear a little bit before we just kind of rush into it. I know it's done elsewhere. I don't know if it's a majority.
It is
I'd
a
like to-
majority.
I'd like to get that right.
That doesn't
Could we
matter.
get somebody from, or could you check with Mac and have them get us?
But just find out what the pros and cons are. And something else, I thought about it a little bit. If they were combined, I'm just throwing this out, if they were combined, the clerk would have to have a fairly high-paid deputy to oversee probably the register of deeds office.
Should probably need a deputy for the clerk and a deputy for registered
Right,
deeds.
which is probably, the deputy is not a high-paid position particularly. What I'm getting at is if we think we're gonna save a lot of money, we're probably not. That's just my opinion.
Okay, Commissioner Nash had a question.
Yeah, I just think that if we're gonna do this, I mean, I don't know why we're rushing it. We can't do
Don't
anything
need to
until the
rush it.
term is up. And I would rather, if we're gonna meet on this, to make sure that we have the clerk and the register of deeds here, because there's a lot of details about those jobs we don't know. I don't even shake my or shrug my shoulders. I don't mean it lightly when I say that I think we have the best clerk in the state, because nobody knows the laws like she does. She's got a very serious law background. She's had a husband who has been a tremendous lawyer in the state. And they're just highly reputable. And then when it comes to the register of deeds, we've got the best registered deeds in the state. This guy knows the laws and the rules regarding that registered deeds more than anybody. We got quality people and we're trying to cut their throats. And I'm just saying, we should be careful before we do these things because we're getting rid of good people. And then you're gonna get somebody down there that might not know what they're doing. And the next thing you know, things are all messed up. So.
Mr. Wilbur,
Well, I've got to say, I'm tired of getting these surprise motions from Mr. Laring that where we have no background, we have no information, it's not in writing. I mean, my vote is no whenever you bring something like that and sling it at us.
Well, let's get back to the subject and thank you for your comment, Commissioner.
I appreciate Marcia's comment, but on the other hand, this was brought up a couple meetings ago. We asked for the corporate councils to give us their information on it, and we got that. So it was more than adequate, time for us to look at that and have them bring it up.
But we still haven't heard from the two people involved in terms of the details of it and
Point of order.
what could work.
Yeah,
and
let's
wouldn't.
go back, yes. Point of order.
That's all. I just wanted to, I just felt like I felt like I had plenty of information.
Okay, thank you
Yep.
for that. Sounds like Commissioner Warren.
Thank you. So the idea is not new. This county commission looked at it before. It was hotly debated, and so many of the board members that were here last term heard all this. This is new to a couple of commissioners. It was brought up for debate. We asked for legal counsel's advice. We got legal counsel's advice. So this isn't a surprise. It's not new information. It's been debated. It's been done multiple times in other counties. In fact, the majority of counties, you just have to go to MAC. They'll tell you about which counties do what. I do believe it's a cost savings. We already do have a deputy clerk and a county clerk. I, for one, would possibly disagree with Charles. I have gotten so many complaints about a register of deeds from realtors in the county in the last year that I can't. Realtors complaining how difficult it is to register deeds and sell homes in Muskegon County. So I don't necessarily know the benefit of having an additional elected official manage this position. There is a cost savings of an office that we wouldn't have to maintain. We already have staff that I've been told that office pretty much runs itself. So I see it as a cost savings and the potential of losing one of the elected officials in the county. It's not going to take effect until the next election. We would just be electing one less person to the county. So it's not going to, we're not going to be firing anybody before the next election.
Okay, well, thank you. So we have a motion.
So right now, the motion that needs to be voted on is the motion to postpone to the next transportation committee meeting.
So I would like a roll call vote for that, please.
Commissioner Heavy Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes,
No,
Commissioner Laring,
No,
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pago,
No,
Chair Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
yes,
Commissioner Seer,
No,
Commissioner Graham,
No,
4 yes, 5 no.
All right, so that motion fails. So then you're back to the
so
substantive
we're going
motion,
to go
which
to
I
the original motion. Would you like to restate that, please?
it's that the administration move to
Consolidate.
consolidate the offices of the county clerk and the register of deeds office.
So we have a motion and support on that?
I did.
Okay, thank you. So let's do a roll call vote for that, please.
Commissioner Seer,
yes,
Commissioner Heavy Wright,
No.
Commissioner Hughes,
yes,
Commissioner Laring,
Yes,
Commissioner Nash,
No.
Commissioner Pago,
Yes,
Chair Skolnick,
No.
Commissioner Wilkins,
no,
Commissioner Brown,
Yes,
5 yes, 4 no.
thank you. Now we'll move on. So if there's any other new business at this time? Thank you. Seeing none, public comment. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have your hand up?
No,
Okay.
we're not. The
Public comment, any final board comments at this time? All right, seeing none. adjourn the committee meeting. Thank you.